Hello to all you internet people. I'm Dakian. It's Monday. This one is the 12th of August 2019. And it's my weekly ramble about miniatures. Starting with Finish Minis. These are the Harwood Hobbies Harem project I completed at last Monday's painting session at the game store. The first thing you can note about them is that one of them, strangely enough, is not in the same scale as the others. She's much bigger. Most of them are like 28 mil, and this one seems like 32 or even bigger. Maybe she's a giant. Their faces had very shallow detail. It's very hard to get paint in there to make it stand out. So I focused instead on making their clothes pop. And the bases, I put them on, these are 25mm mosaic bases from Micro Art Studios that I decided to paint in a very colorful way. Yeah. I think they came out pretty well, all things considered, considering the sculpts and the casting and everything I had to work with. And I don't know if all the colors on the bases clash with colors on the clothing. I tried not to make it do that, but well, you be the judge. Moving on to the Dark Sword Jessica Rich DVD project, I've knocked out 2 more minis. This is the Rabbit Ranger, and he's looking like that. And this is Sitting Mage or something she's called. She has a book in her hand, so she's a learned person, at the very least. Now, these are not as good looking as Jessica's work, of course. I've not been as careful. I've just sort of followed along with the general principles of what she suggested. Like, for example, here, the idea is to keep all the colors together. The skin, the hair, and the dress are all very closely matched. Though not exactly the same. And this is a different style, not really technique, but a different style of painting than contrasting colors. I mean, normally with all this sort of orange, you'd have some blue, which is the complementary color, to contrast it. But I don't. Well, maybe there's a little bit of blue in the gray here on the stone, but and the book cover is a deep purple. Which is sort of close to blue, but in general, I've kept it in the red-orange range, red-orange-brown, and that creates an interesting effect, I think, even, as I say, if it's not up to the quality of somebody like Jessica Rich. And here we have a slew of metal models, all by Reaper, all sort of natural beasts, animals, so they're kind of naturalistic looking. I mean, the bar guests are fiends, technically speaking, but they look like dogs. The dire bear just looks like a big bear. And the dire boars are nasty looking. They have some extra tusks. This one has some horns as well. And the giant frogs finally are... I left them a bit shiny with a satin varnish on them because they're kind of wet and slimy, I assume. This one has a lot of teeth for a frog, but it's a killer frog. I think that's what the name of these models. They came in a pack of 2, and I think they're called killer frogs, not giant frogs. But so they're carnivorous. Yeah, not a whole lot to say about these really. you'll see pictures at the end that are more detailed. And to round things off with the finished minis this episode, we have a bunch of plastic, mostly Reaper bones from the Kickstarter. We have the sort of Chaos Warrior figure here. I don't know if he has a name. He came out nicely, I think. There's Baba Yaga, cool concept, difficult model to paint to make it look good because there's not a lot of detail on her outfit. It's, yeah, the plastic and the molding, it just makes it hard to do anything with it. But, you know, the whole concept, riding in the pot and flying around, is pretty cool. And then we have the mini Minotaurs. I sort of didn't have any inspiration for them. I just painted them boring brown, so to speak. They'll do. They'll do. And then finally we have the Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures thing. So this is the WizKids Mini from their official D&D line, the Shambling Mound, which has a lot of detail, but it's very confused, and so I just kind of painted randomly to make it look like a random collection of different plant parts. And you know, don't look too closely at any detail of it. The idea, it's supposed to be more of an impressionistic thing. Yeah, but for what it is, I think it's okay. And that's all the stuff done this week. A huge amount, relatively huge amount, but and I will be slowing down. I have, you know, this first week back at work will be light on the work, so I can get some painting done. But starting next week, I'm gonna have to start like fewer projects each week. You know, it's yeah, it's gonna mean less free time, but you know, such is life. Now this is what's left of the Dark Sword Jessica Rich DVD painting project. We have Arston here, who's almost done except for sword. Still no change from last week. My ambition is to finish this guy in the coming week, and then the week after finish this one. So here I've reattached the wings once more, and hopefully they blend seamlessly into her cloak for some reason, using a combination of glue and some gloss varnish and some brush-on primer. Now, if these wings fall off again, I'm gonna call it done. I'll scrap them, fill in the holes, and just say that she's a wizard. She's using a flight spell of some sort to fly instead of having wings, because I don't have the patience to work with this crap. But I'll try to be really careful with her and not knock the wings off again. So I thought that I was gonna finish up everything I started last week, but I did not quite make it. There's 3 models to go that are, well, they're 75% finished, but did not quite manage to get them over the finish line for this episode. They'll definitely be done by next week though, because there's not that much left to do on them. It's these 3 Reaper Bones demons from the core set. To give them some variety, and this is probably one of the reasons I haven't finished them, because when I do variety it takes more time than if I production line stuff. I've done them all in different colors. So here's a traditionally red demon, red skin, and the skin is basically done. The wings are not. They need some final highlights and shades. They're pretty rough. But the colors, the general idea of the colors is correct. And so I did another blue one, so blue-black, blue-gray, with red wings instead. And the female one here is purple with sort of yellowish tan wings, and bright red demonic hair. Yeah, there's, like I said, most of the work is done on these, but a couple more hours and they'll be done. And this right here is the Rogues Gallery of newly prepped stuff for the upcoming week. Front and center we have 2 hassle-free minis, who are the Dominatrix Libby, as she's called, and the normal Libby, the sort of fantasy warrior Libby, or Liberty. Then we have the Snake People in Reaper Bones, and behind them a lot of fighters. They're all just primed a dark gray. This is German Gray from Vallejo, Surface Primers. And I haven't bothered even, zenithal priming them, because quite a lot of these guys, almost at least half their surface is going to be metallic. And this dark gray serves as a good undercoat for that. I'll just paint my base coat metals straight on top of that, and that'll be fine. It'll need a few more coats. The areas that are not metal will need. For example, this is the least metal. The female warrior here is not wearing a helmet at all, so her hair and face are going to take a few coats to cover this dark gray, but otherwise, not an issue. Just going with this dark undercoat is going to be the simplest thing. Whereas this is actually first I xanthal primed with a darker brown and a light tan from the top, and then I coated it with a very thin also airbrushed glaze of green. So this is both primed and base coated and ready to go, ready to rock. So for next week, I think I'm planning a bit fewer projects on a weekly or daily basis than I have been under during the summer, because I getting back to work will cut into my painting time. So let's not stock the queue with too much stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on my table already, which I'm not sure will get finished in the coming week. So this will be in 2 sections. First, we have the projects that I want to bring to next Monday's store painting session, and these 3 minis in unmarked blister packs are Shield Wolf minis. You'll remember I painted a few minis from that company before that were sort of assorted stuff. These 3 came with a Kickstarter for the Shield Maidens, I believe they were called, but they are heroes. They're not unit figures. So for some reason they were not stored in my collection at the same place as the others. They're sort of semi-autonomous. There's one sort of wizard or sorceress character, one kind of ranger with some strange crossbow with like 2 bows on it or something. It looks really odd. And one figure with a cape and a sword. She's not... I don't know if I can see what's up with her. Oh, that's some sort of wizard also, but with a staff. Right, sorry, not a sword. So yeah, some sort of maybe druid characters. And these are also resin. They seem to be pretty good resin, so we'll see. I'm not sure yet if they will be possible to transport to the store in assembled fashion. Some of these might be pointing out with their weapons in various directions, and it might be difficult to get into my carrying case. But we'll see. We'll make it work, or if it doesn't work, we'll exchange these for something else. Now, at home, I want to keep working on the Bones 4 Kickstarter, and I'm still working on the Adventurer set. You've seen 9 of the most heavily armored ones prepped. These are another 8, and they are also warriors, but less heavily armored. Here's a typical barbarian and just some fur loincloth. Here's a small no more halfling figure in chainmail. Here's another halfling or dwarf with light armor but a shield and an axe. Here's an elf dual wielding a scimitar and a short sword, probably a ranger. Here's another female warrior with a big axe. Oh, this is actually the same figure that I painted, the same character that I painted in chibi form very recently. Almost the same pose, you know, carrying the axe, holding it so it's mostly behind her back, and a scabbarded sword there as well. And a sort of punching dagger on her left hand. That's exactly the same character. Different sculpt, not chibi. Interesting. Here's another female fighter, I believe, in a breastplate with a sort of gladius-looking sword. And a shield with a pseudo-Roman emblem on it. And a helmet with a big crest. So it's supposed to be in a classical style, somehow. Here is a dragonborn with wings and a breastplate, some sort of lamellar armor, long tail, and oh, interesting! It has a lot of options for the hands. It can be assembled in like. It has both the 5 different left hands and 5 different right hands, and you can combine them any way you like. That's cool. That's really cool. Hadn't seen that before. And finally, here's another. I think she's in plate armor, but she's got a sort of a tabard over it, so it's a little difficult to tell here through the plastic and everything, with a big shield and a sword. So yeah, a varied bunch. They all look like fun to paint. So that was this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Click like and subscribe and comment if you did. Share the video and join me again in a week. I'll be here, same time, same channel, same day. Well, different day, but it's still a Monday. Till then, this is Dakian, signing off.